Let's first start with what to expect in terms of difficulty. I find the first week to be the hardest. You probably will too if you're used to jacking off every day. Also, during the first week, you tend to think about the challenge more, which means you're thinking about jacking, which leads to urges. The middle weeks gradually get easier. My body gets used to not nutting and isn't at the front of my mind anymore. If you regularly went a week between nuts, then you might find this time period to be a bit more difficult. Your body anticipates a release every week, and now you're denying that which it doesn't like. Normally during the final week, it's very easy and I feel that I can continue indefinitely. There's no physical need to nut as the body's gotten used to not nutting. The most challenging thing about the last week is knowing that you're approaching the big nut. And comes back to the front of your mind, so you're inadvertently thinking about jacking now, and as such will start to get more urges. Expect this and don't give in to them. Now let's move on to how to make it through the month. The most important thing is to stay motivated. You need to know why you're doing this. Every time you get an urge, to think back to why you're doing this and think to yourself if it's really worth it to sacrifice that goal. In almost all scenarios it isn't. Something to know is that orgasms during NNN are very different from normal orgasms. Post-nut clarity will hit harder and faster. Because you're challenging yourself, you'll feel disappointed in yourself that you weren't able to accomplish your goal. You might get 3 seconds of pleasure, but the after effect will be devastating. Next is to try and remove anything that is linked to jacking. Websites, items, and even certain places that can trigger urges. Starting off most basic. Don't look at any media that makes you frisky, block adult content sites, unfollow thirst traps, and put all your dad's Playboys back in his sock drawer. You'll also want to remove any items that are linked to jacking. Put away that bottle of lotion, stash away your toys, and put that sock back in your dad's sock drawer. Places could also trigger urges. If you jack every day in the same place, then your body will associate that place with jack and you'll get urges whenever you're there. If you're used to going at it every day in a nice warm shower, maybe start taking cold showers or trying a different pressure setting. If you're used to doing it at your computer, maybe try rearranging your desk setup or moving your computer screen so that it's where others can see it. If you normally do it laying in bed on your back, then maybe try only laying on your side or even sleeping the opposite way. A common suggestion is also to sleep in jeans. Well, I won't go on with any more examples. You probably get the point. Change something so that your body doesn't autopilot into jacking. Another important thing is to keep yourself busy. If you're bored, your mind will go to sex. You'll have a bit more free time to kill, seeing as how you're not taking up time jacking. Picking up a new hobby, improving on an existing hobby, do anything that will keep you away from jacking. What you do isn't the only thing though. When you do it is equally important, to structure your time so that you're keeping yourself busy when you'd usually be getting off. This one might seem obvious, but I feel the need to stress this and make it abundantly clear. Do not edge. Not only is it extremely risky business at the moment, as you could mess up and go overboard, but it will also make the remainder of the month much more difficult. Edging is meant for building sexual tension and making you want to have an orgasm more than normal. The more you edge, the hornier you'll get, which makes urges happen more often and be more intense. This will lead you to edge even more, and now all of a sudden you've got exponential growth. Also, the increased desire to come will cloud your judgment and will make you more prone to slipping over the edge. All in all, if you edge, you'll probably fail, and even if you don't, you're still spending a considerable amount of time jerking off. The only difference now is that instead of having orgasms, you're just giving yourself blue balls. So now that we've covered surviving the challenge, this last section will cover the things that you can do throughout the month to make the big nut even bigger and even better. One of the best things you can do is to stop watching adult content. Assuming you watched adult content regularly before and your brain is desensitized to it, it's not anything special anymore. Once you go a month without seeing any hot naked people, your brain will get used to not having that constant chemical flow, so your tolerance to seeing sex stuff will decrease. Now when you finally do see sex stuff again and get the chemical rush from it, you're going to feel it more intensely. It's very similar to the tolerance breaks drug is take. Next up is to remember to drink lots of water. This is very important, especially near the end of the month. Not only is staying hydrated healthy for you, but it will make you have a bigger load. Try planning out how much you should drink each day and carry a water bottle around with you. I measure by how many bottles I have to drink to make it easier to keep track of. It won't hurt to go a bit over the recommended water intake for a day. It'll only make you pee a bit more. I like to go a bit over just to be safe. And no, coffee, energy drinks, and beer don't count, only water does. Another thing you could do is to work out your orgasm muscles and do kegels. Having stronger kegel muscles makes bigger contractions during orgasm, which leads to more intensity. If you're unfamiliar, the kegel muscles are the muscles that make your penis do the dance thing. To strengthen them, you just need to flex them repeatedly. The more you can do without going overboard and overexerting yourself, the better. You should be able to look it up and find a suitable training guideline for you. A side effect that comes with doing Kegels is that it will increase blood flow to your genitals, so there's a high chance of getting an erection when you do them. It could get you horny, or it could just be one of the not horny, just hard sorts, so be prepared. I've heard from some people that when the big nut comes, their Kegel muscles cramp up mid-orgasm due to lack of use during the month. So even if you're not planning on training them, it isn't a bad idea to just flex them from time to time to keep them active. You could also consider taking some supplements that are linked to a bigger load like zinc. Now, I haven't actually ever used these or even looked into using them, so do your own research, but apparently they're supposed to help. Again, I'm not a doctor and I don't have any knowledge of these practices. Do your own research. So here's the method. 1. Regulate your thought stream. There will be a lot of times that your mind will remind you of any kind of sexual content. You should be aware that when you want to think about any kind of explicit content, it's a direct attack on your attempt by your previous way of behavior, the beast you created. Identify your thoughts. Mark any lonely thought and urge toxic. Punish that little porn monster for attacking you. Put an antivirus there, so you don't ever say, I forgot what this attempt meant to me. Remember, every thought counts. Any second you think about PMO, you strengthen your previous path of behavior. So don't think of that new hottie at your workplace. Don't think about having sex. Don't think about how having a comfy, loving girlfriend and doing Netflix. It's a Trojan horse, directly leading to the Netflix and chill part, and eventually a relapse. 2. Drag your mind elsewhere. When an urge inevitably attacks you, you should be prepared. We talked about being aware of the attack. Once you are aware, don't give in to it. But this is a tricky situation, right? Because if I tell you don't think about the pink elephant, just don't. Forget the pink elephant. You will immediately think about the pink elephant. It's counterintuitive. So be ready to drag your mind somewhere else. Do you like your job? Focus on work. Do you have an instrument to play? Take it out and play for a while. Have a plan B so you don't give in. Delaying the initial urge is critical because the trailing urges will be weaker, and it will give you time to reinspect the situation and remember why you're on NoFap. 3. Never, under no circumstance, never peak. You may choose to heed this one, or you may choose to figure it out on your own. In your journey in NoFap, you'll see that there is no such thing as just one peak, ever. It doesn't happen. Even if you manage to not ejaculate at that instance, the previous path of behavior will be reinforced and the following attacks will only get stronger and stronger, ending your streak. Bonus tip: in your journey, you will sometimes want to browse safe-looking websites that may cause you to relapse, such as Instagram, 9gag, etc. This is called phishing and you do it unintentionally. Once again, be aware of the attack and ask yourself, am I fishing for a trigger? So stay safe and pure, and remember, on a smaller scale, working out could also help. Not only could it help you survive the challenge, but the increase in testosterone and other hormones that you get from working out can help make a more intense orgasm. I'm not sure how big of an effect this will have in just a month, but I figured that I would include it. Well, I hope that this helps. They're the tricks that work for me, so hopefully they'll work for you too. If you have your own tips that you want to share, please feel free to do so. They may help a fellow no-nutter. I wish you all good luck and I believe in you.